Hawaii annexed. This was not a beach postcard gone wrong, not a charming imperial hiccup between luau's. The overthrow of the Hawaiian kingdom was a whiskey-fueled stress test of American ideals, conducted thousands of miles from the Constitution, where responsibility went to die and ambition ran free. Strip away the hibiscus and ukuleles, and what's left is uglier. A republic discovering its principles were remarkably flexible when sugar, strategy, and profit showed up with a briefcase. At the center of the cyclone stood Queen Liliuokalani, lawful monarch, reluctant revolutionary, and the only adult in the room. Opposite her spun a cabal calling itself the Committee of Safety, a name so Orwellian it should come with a warning label. This group represented plantation owners, American and European businessmen, and lawyers who aimed to overthrow the monarchy. Their goal was honest if morally bankrupt: kill the monarchy, sideline native Hawaiians, and hand the keys to Uncle Sam. Democracy was not on the guest list. Enter John L. Stevens, U.S. Minister to Hawaii, who decided neutrality was for cowards and paperwork was optional. On January 16, 1893, he ordered U.S. Marines from the USS Boston ashore in Honolulu. Officially, it was to protect American lives and property. Unofficially, it placed armed punctuation marks at the end of a political sentence. No shots fired, no blood spilled, just the silhouette of an empire standing politely in the background. When foreign troops show up during a domestic political crisis, sovereignty becomes a punchline. None of this happened overnight. The fuse had been burning for decades, ever since American economic gravity began pulling Hawaii into its orbit. The 1875 Reciprocity Treaty turned Hawaiian sugar into a golden goose, granting duty-free access to U.S. markets. Wealth flowed, plantations bloomed, dependence hardened. Hawaiian prosperity became hostage to American tariffs, investors, and moods. Political power followed money. Then came 1887 and the Bayonet Constitution, named not for subtlety, but accuracy. King Kalakua signed it under threat of force, a legal document pressed into existence at gunpoint. The monarchy was gutted. Native Hawaiians were disenfranchised. Foreign residents were enfranchised without having to pledge loyalty to the kingdom. Paperwork became a weapon. Domination put on a reformist tie. Government without consent. Law without legitimacy. Freedom rationed by property ownership. When Liliuokalani took the throne in 1891, she inherited a political corpse still twitching. Her attempt to compose a new constitution, restoring native political rights, wasn't radical, it was restorative. To the plantation class, that was heresy. They called it instability. They warned of chaos. Property was in danger, they said. The order was at risk. The oldest trick in the Imperial Handbook: when privilege is threatened, declare an emergency. The coup itself was brisk and bloodless, like a hostile corporate takeover. On January 17th, the insurgents declared the monarchy abolished and installed a provisional government fronted by Sanford B. Dole, an American-educated lawyer, plantation insider, and the human embodiment of respectable takeover. Queen Liliuokalani yielded authority under protest, refusing to trade lives for legitimacy. Her restraint was moral. Their ambition was efficient. History tends to reward the latter first. For a brief, flickering moment, the United States blinked. President Grover Cleveland, no imperial romantic, ordered an investigation. The findings were damning. The overthrow was illegal, aided by U.S. officials with no authority to do what they did. Cleveland called for the Queen's restoration. Congress shrugged. Strategy cleared its throat. Principle slipped out a side door. By 1894, the Republic of Hawaii had been declared despite the illegal actions. By 1898, amid war fever and expansionist swagger, the islands were annexed. Manifest destiny needed a coaling station. By the raw math of power, it worked. Hawaii became a strategic gem, a naval hub, a Pacific foothold. But by constitutional math, self-determination, limited government, consent of the governed, it was a quiet disaster. The ends ate the means and asked for dessert. A century later, Congress passed the 1993 Apology Resolution, acknowledging what had long been obvious. The overthrow occurred with active U.S. participation, and Native Hawaiians never voted away their sovereignty. It fixed nothing legally, but it cracked the narrative. The lie finally became too heavy to carry. This admission calls for reflection on the continuing fight for Hawaiian sovereignty and justice. Hawaii matters because it refuses to stay buried. It asks uncomfortable questions that still make politicians sweat. When does protection become a pretext? When does commerce masquerade as destiny? How often has America called domination stability and hoped no one checked the footnotes? These are not anti-American questions. They are the most American questions there are. The overthrow of Hawaii shows what happens when power slips its constitutional leash. Liberty doesn't die with a bang. It dies with paperwork, courteous speech, and Marines who swear they're just passing through. A nation serious about freedom has to be serious about where it failed to practice it. Hawaii is not a footnote. It is a warning label.